Hello. If you are listening to this, there is something you should know first. What I am about to share will sound hard to believe. It might sound like a desert story people tell to scare hikers or tourists. But it is real. And if you have ever walked in the Supervisory Mountains east of Phoenix, if you have ever felt like someone was watching you, or felt a strong urge to turn back without knowing why, then you already understand that something is not right out there. If this sounds familiar to you, please like this and subscribe so stories like this do not disappear. And if you have had your own experience in the superstitions, leave a comment. This is not just my story. It is a warning. I work in places where rules exist not to prevent accidents. They exist to contain something that preys on human behavior. My name is Robert James. I am a Supervisory Border Patrol Agent assigned to the Lukeville Station in Arizona. I have served 19 years with U.S. Customs and Border Protection. My jurisdiction covers the Organ Pipe Cactus National Monument Corridor, the Cabeza Prieta spillover zones, and the triple fence sector running west of State Route 85. Most people think of this area as empty. That is the first mistake. The desert here does not feel hostile when you know it. It feels quiet. Flat light. Wind that never quite stops. The kind of place where sound carries too far and then disappears. You learn early that isolation is not the same as safety. I am recording this because of a death. Actually, more than one. But there is a name that matters first. Agent Daniel Ortiz. Year was 2019. Location was Grid 17B, south of the third fence line, approximately 4 miles west of Lukeville Port of Entry. He crossed a line he was trained not to cross. He did it because he heard a child crying. That sound cost him his life. We never recovered his body. The rules were already in place when I transferred here in 2012. They were not written the way people imagine. No handbook titled containment. No briefing slide that says non-human entity. They were procedural gaps. Stops. A sentence added to a radio call. A thing you do not do without being told why. One of those rules is simple. We do not follow footprints past the third fence. I did not understand why until later. On paper, my job is immigration enforcement and interdiction. In practice, my job is delay. Containment. Minimizing exposure. That means exposure for civilians, for migrants, and for my own people. We do not stop what is out there. We slow it down. We keep it from learning too much, too fast. My first month at Lukeville, I noticed how often senior agents redirected patrol routes. A sensor trip would come in south of Fence 3. Tracks would be visible. Fresh. Sometimes bare feet. Sometimes boots. And the response would be containment only. Log it. Mark it. Do not pursue. I asked my then supervisor why. He said, you can watch. You can log. You do not follow. That was the extent of it. The third fence is not impressive. It is not taller. It is not newer. It is just the last one before open desert that technically falls outside our high-frequency patrol grid. Past it, response times stretch. Radio repeaters thin out. Line of sight disappears. We tell trainees it is about safety, heat, terrain, cartel diversion tactics. Those are not lies. They are just not complete. The first time something felt wrong was during a night shift in late August. Monsoon season. Humidity high enough that the desert smelled like wet iron. I was running Bravo unit with 2 agents under me. Ortiz was one of them. The other was Agent Melissa Crane. At 1:14, we got a ground sensor alert south of Fence 2. Foot traffic. Multiple hits. Standard response. We rolled in. Tracks everywhere. Confused. Overlapping. Like people had walked in circles and then changed their minds. Crane said, that is weird. Ortiz laughed it off. Probably kids messing around. We followed the tracks. We always do at Fence 2. They led straight to Fence 3. On the far side, the sand was smooth. No prints. Nothing. Ortiz crouched, ran his fingers along the base. He frowned. They did not climb, he said. They did not go under. Crane keyed her radio. Control, Bravo at fence 3. Tracks terminate. Control acknowledged. Pause. Then, copy. Mark and return. Ortiz looked at me. You ever see that? I shook my head. No. We marked it and left. That should have been the end of it. 2 weeks later, Ortiz died. The night he broke the rule, I was not on shift. I was home in a Joe. My wife was asleep. My phone rang at 3:02. It was Crane. Her voice was tight. Danny crossed, she said. He heard something. They had another sensor hit. Same grid. Same pattern. Tracks up to fence 3. This time there were prints on the far side. Bare feet. Small. Crane reported hearing crying. A child. Spanish. Calling for help. Protocol says you call it in. You wait. You do not cross until approval. Ortiz did not wait. By the time backup arrived, his radio was open. There was breathing. Then nothing. Search teams went out at first light. Officially. Unofficially, some of us had already gone. There were no tracks leading away. There were no tracks leading back. Just his hat. Placed upright against a creosote bush. No blood. No signs of struggle. The official report lists him as missing in action. Presumed deceased. What it does not list is the audio we pulled from his body cam. We are not supposed to talk about it. I am going to anyway. The crying stopped the moment he crossed fence 3. Then his own voice came back at him. Danny, it said. You are scaring her. Same cadence. Same breath pattern. Same accent. That was the first time I understood that this thing does not hunt bodies. It hunts responses. After Ortiz, the rules tightened. Quietly. We stopped rotating night patrols past certain hours. We altered call signs. We stopped using first names on open channels south of fence 2. Another rule came into use. Never respond to voices you cannot see. That rule would later get someone else killed. I took over as supervisor 6 months after Ortiz disappeared. Crane transferred out. She said the desert felt crowded now. She was not wrong. As supervisor, I was brought into a closed-door briefing. No slides. No recordings. Just 3 people in a room. Me, the station chief, and a man from Tucson Sector Oversight who did not give his name. He said, "You are not here to solve this. You are here to make sure it does not spread." He told me that similar incidents had occurred near Nogales, near El Paso, near Brownsville, always near hard lines, always where rules change. He did not use the word entity. He said presence. There is one limitation, he said. It cannot initiate crossing the 3rd fence. It requires pursuit, invitation, response. So we stopped responding. On paper. In reality, humans do not work that way. In early 2020, we had a family separation incident that never made the news. A woman and her son were apprehended north of fence 1. The boy was 6. Dehydrated. Scared. While we processed them, the boy asked me a question I could not answer. Why does my uncle keep calling me from the desert? There was no phone. That was the first time it used technology with me. His mother started crying. She said her brother had crossed days earlier. He never made it. The boy said his uncle sounded close, like he was right outside. I ordered the holding area cleared. Phones off. Radios switched to encrypted channel. The calls stopped. That night, I added another rule. No personal devices active during night shifts. Some agents complained. Morale dipped. I did not explain why. Rules without reasons rot people from the inside. By summer, the voices changed tactics. They stopped sounding afraid. They started sounding tired. You learn the difference quickly. Real distress has rhythm. Panic breaks sentences. This thing speaks in complete thoughts. One night, it used my wife's voice. I was in my truck, parked near fence 2. Wind rocking the antenna. Static low. The radio clicked. Then she said my name. Rob, can you hear me? I did not answer. My hands shook anyway. It knew my name because someone had used it south of the fence once. Years earlier. A mistake logged and forgotten. That is another rule now. Never use names past fence 2. The thing laughed. Not like a joke. Like acknowledgement. That was the first time it expressed anything like satisfaction. We lost 2 more agents that year. One retired early. One stepped into the desert without his vest. No radio. Just walked. I attended both families. I told them what the reports allowed. I did not tell them the truth. By the end of 2021, the desert felt trained. It tested us. It waited for the soft spots. Fatigue. New agents. Parents. It cannot cross unless we follow. That is its limitation. What it does with what crosses is not something I can fully describe yet. This is already longer than I intended. If you are still listening, understand this. The rules exist because someone loved someone enough to break them once. I am still here because I have not. That does not mean I am winning. By the start of 2022, the rule set had grown thick enough that new agents treated it like superstition. That worried me more than ignorance. Superstition invites challenge. Procedure does not. I began every night briefing the same way. Weather. Patrol zones. Then reminders. No names on open channels. No pursuit past the 3rd fence. No response to voices without visual confirmation. No personal devices active after dusk. I never explained why unless someone asked directly. Even then, I limited it. Most did not ask. Agent Luis Moreno asked. Moreno transferred in from San Diego sector. 10 years in. Smart. Calm. Father of 2. He listened more than he talked. That is usually who breaks first. After a quiet shift, he stayed behind while the others filtered out. Sir, he said. Off record. I nodded. What happens past fence 3? I held his gaze. Measured his breathing. He was not scared yet. Just curious. We lose people, I said. If we chase. That is not an answer, he said. It is the only one you get, I replied. He accepted that. For a while. The desert stayed quiet through spring. That is how it prepares you. Like a long inhale. The first escalation came in May. Heat early. 106 by noon. We had an uptick in migrant traffic. Families. Kids. That always strains the rules. Compassion is a vector. On May 14th, we detained a group north of fence 1. 3 adults. 2 children. 1 infant. Dehydration severe. Standard medical response. While EMTs worked, one of the adults kept looking south. He asked if we could send someone back. My brother is lost, he said. He stayed behind with my phone. I said no. He begged. He said his brother knew the rules. He would wait by the fence. I said no again. The man screamed my name. I had never met him before. Moreno stiffened beside me. Sir, he said quietly. How did he know? I did not answer. That night, the sensors went wild south of fence 3. Dozens of hits. Overlapping. Moving in patterns that suggested circling. We logged them. We did not respond. At 2:37, we heard singing. It came through the wind at first. Then through the radio. A lullaby. Spanish. Soft. Familiar. Moreno keyed his MIC halfway, then stopped. He looked at me. Sir, that sounds like my mother. Do not respond, I said. She used to sing that when my kids were babies, he said. She died last year. The singing drifted closer to the fence. Not louder. Closer. As if distance did not matter the way it should. Crane was right. The desert felt crowded. Another rule came into use after that night. Never acknowledge familiarity. If it thinks it has identified leverage, it refines it. The second violation came from duty, not compassion. In July, a wildfire broke out near the Cabiza-Prieta boundary. Lightning strike. Spread fast. Smoke compromised visibility. Evacuation protocols triggered. Fire crews requested border assistance for perimeter control. That put us near Fence 3 during daylight. Rare, daylight is safer. It relies less on mimicry then. It watches instead. While coordinating with Fire Command, one of our drones picked up movement south of the fence. A single figure. Standing still. Moreno was on optics. He zoomed in. "That is a kid," he said. The figure was small. Thin. Shirt torn. One arm raised. Fire Command requested confirmation of no civilians in the burn zone. Moreno looked at me again. "Sir, if that is a kid." I radioed control, requesting thermal confirmation. Thermal showed a heat signature. Human-shaped. Within normal range. That was new. Previously, it avoided thermal, or appeared cold, or fragmented. Fire Command pressed. Smoke was shifting. They needed to know if suppression teams could advance. I made the call. Moreno and I approached Fence 3. We stayed north of it. Binoculars up. The figure did not move. I shouted in Spanish. "Stay where you are." The figure nodded. That was another first. Moreno took a step forward. "Stop," I said. "Sir," he said. "If we do not help, fire will." I grabbed his vest. The figure spoke. "Luis," it said. "I am tired." Moreno froze. It used his name. That meant someone had already failed. Somewhere. At some point. I pulled Moreno back. Hard. The figure tilted its head. Like it was curious. Then the fire shifted. Wind changed. Smoke rolled through the fence line. When it cleared, the figure was gone. Fire Command never knew. They rerouted. No remains were found. Moreno did not speak the rest of the shift. After that, I added another rule. Never trust thermal alone. Technology is not neutral here. It learns through it. By 4, morale was frayed. Agents felt like we were ignoring suffering. Which we were. Selectively. That eats at people. I started rotating agents off night shifts more frequently. Fatigue lowers resistance. Then my family got involved. My daughter, Emily, was 12. She had grown up here. Knew the desert. Knew not to wander. One evening, she asked me why her uncle Danny never came to visit anymore. Danny was Ortiz. They were not related. But he had been close. He taught her how to throw a baseball. I told her he moved. She said he called her. My stomach dropped. When? Last night, she said. He left a voicemail. I took her phone. The voicemail was empty. No audio. Just static. Metadata showed it originated from a tower that did not exist anymore. Decommissioned years prior. South of Fence 3. I deleted it. I grounded her phone usage indefinitely. Told her it was a glitch. She cried. Said I was lying. She was right. That night, I slept with the lights on. The thing did not call again. Instead, it waited. In December, Moreno broke. We were short-staffed. Holiday rotations. He volunteered for extra nights. On December 22nd, we had a missing migrant report. A teenage girl separated from her group near Fence 2. Last seen heading south. Standard procedure would have been limited search north of Fence 3. Moreno insisted on expanding. Sir, she is a kid, he said. She could be alive. I said no. He reminded me of the oath, of duty. He did not mention compassion. That would have been easier to argue against. We argued for 5 minutes. Too long. I compromised. We would search to the fence line. Together. We found footprints. Small. Barefoot. Leading straight to fence 3. On the far side, nothing. Then we heard her voice. "Help," she said. "Please." It was close. Too close. Moreno stepped forward. "Louis," I said. "Do not." He turned to me. His eyes were wet. "If we do not, what are we?" he said. "That question still does not have an answer." He crossed. The moment his boot touched sand south of the fence, the voice stopped. He turned back. Confused. "Sir," he said, "I do not see her." I told him to come back. He took 1 step. Then his radio crackled. "Louis," said his daughter's voice. "Daddy." He ran. I did not follow. I ordered backup. I ordered containment. I ordered everything except pursuit. We found his vest at dawn. Neatly folded. Placed on the fence post. His body was never recovered. His wife does not speak to me. His kids moved away. I added no new rules after that. There were already too many. What I did add was a note to myself. Written. Not logged. It does not need you to believe it. It needs you to choose. That is its advantage. By early 2023, higher oversight noticed the attrition. Mental health referrals increased. Transfers spiked. They sent another man from Tucson. Different face. Same message. "Containment is holding," he said. "For now." He asked if I was still fit for command. I said yes. That was a lie. Because by then, the thing had stopped reaching out directly. It started using silence. No voices. No calls. Just absence. Sensors tripped without tracks. Radios dropped without interference. The desert waited. And waiting is worse. Silence is not neutral. In this job, silence means pressure building somewhere else. By spring of 2023, the absence of activity south of Fence 3 felt deliberate. No voices. No mimicry. No technological intrusions. Sensors still triggered, but irregularly. Sometimes 1 hit. Sometimes a dozen in the same square meter. No tracks. No heat. Nothing you could pursue even if you wanted to. That should have been a relief. Instead, it made people careless. Agents started using names again on encrypted channels. Personal phones came back out during night shifts. Jokes returned. The kind you make when you want to believe the threat has passed. I issued reminders. Quiet ones. I did not escalate. If you tighten rules when nothing appears wrong, people push back harder when it matters. The desert knows timing. The next failure came through infrastructure. In May, we lost a repeater tower south of Lukeville. Old equipment. Wind damage, officially. It knocked out radio coverage across 3 patrol zones, including the Fence 3 corridor. Maintenance requested a daytime repair window. That required escort. Border Patrol responsibility. I assigned Agent Hannah Cole and Agent Victor Ruiz. Both experienced. Both had lost colleagues. They knew the rules. I reminded them before they rolled. Do not cross the third fence. Do not respond to voices. If anything feels wrong, you leave. Cole nodded. Ruiz smiled. Too confident. They reached the tower at 10:17. Clear weather. High sun. Radios functioning intermittently. At 10:42, Cole called in. "Sir, we have something strange," she said. "Explain." "There are footprints around the base," she said. "But they do not lead anywhere." I asked for photos. She hesitated. "They are not human," she said. That was the first time an agent had said that out loud to me. "Describe them," I said. "They look like," she paused. "Like someone tried to remember what feet look like." I ordered them to abort. Return immediately. Ruiz laughed over the channel. Sir, with respect, it is just erosion patterns. Cole did not laugh. At 10:49, Ruiz crossed the third fence. He said it did not feel like crossing. He said the ground did not change. That is important. Cole shouted at him to come back. He did not respond. Then the radio picked up a maintenance voice. Not theirs. We have visual, the voice said. Asset is secure. Cole froze. That call sign was retired. Sir, she whispered. That is not us. I told her to leave. Now, she did. Ruiz did not. We never found his body. We found his boots, placed side by side, facing north. After that, I shut down all non-essential south fence infrastructure work. Oversight pushed back. Logistics complained. I did not care. Containment over coverage. By summer, I was barely sleeping. When I did, I dreamed of fences moving, shifting further north. Quietly, Emily stopped asking about Danny, about calls. That scared me more than if she had kept asking. One afternoon, she asked if she could ride her bike near the old service road. I said no. She asked why. I said because I said so. She said, you never used to be like this. She was right. The thing did not need to reach out to her anymore. It had already changed me. In July, we had our first civilian incursion. A group of hikers entered Organ Pipe illegally. GPS error. They crossed fence 1 without realizing it. 4 adults. 1 teenage boy. They were reported missing after failing to check in. Search and rescue requested our assistance. This is where rules collide. Duty says you search. Containment says you limit exposure. I authorized a limited daylight search north of fence 2 only. We found the group's campsite. Abandoned. Food untouched. Water gone. Tracks led south. We stopped. SAR pushed to continue. They had families on the phone. I said no. At 14:12, we heard the boy screaming. It came from beyond fence 3. Clear. Panicked. Real. SAR looked at me. That is a kid, one of them said. I knew. I also knew that real distress is sometimes the most effective mask. I ordered withdrawal. One of the SAR volunteers ran. He did not make it 5 steps past the fence before the screaming stopped. We pulled him back by his pack straps. He was alive. Shaking. Urine soaked his pants. He said the boy was standing right there, smiling. He said the boy had no eyes. We sedated him. Evacuated. The hikers were never found. The official report blamed heat exposure. After that, word started to spread. Not officially, but between agencies. Whispers. Do not go near Lukeville.do, not follow voices.do, not chase. Rumors are containment failure. They invite attention. Oversight called another meeting. They asked me directly if I believed something non-human was operating in my sector. I said no. That was the second lie. They reassigned resources anyway. Quietly. Cameras upgraded. AI-assisted pattern recognition. The thing adapted faster. It started triggering false positives in systems that should not be fooled. Facial recognition flagged non-existent individuals. License plate readers logged plates that belonged to dead people. It used the dead more often after that. In September, it used my father. He died in 2008. Heart attack. I had not heard his voice in years. The call came through my home phone. Landline. I had not given that number to anyone in months. Rob, he said. You sound tired. I hung up. The phone rang again. You do not have to do this forever, he said. I unplugged the phone. That night, I dreamed of fence 3 dissolving into sand. In October, we lost a trainee. Agent First Class Tyler Nguyen. 24. Fresh out of academy. Smart. earnest, wanted to do the right thing. He had heard the rules. He had not lived them. During a night patrol, he heard a woman coughing south of fence 2. He reported it properly. Waited. The coughing turned into choking. He asked permission to approach. Denied. He waited 5 minutes. Too long. He went anyway. He did not cross fence 3. That is the cruel part. He crossed fence 2. The thing reached north for the first time. Not physically. It used sound. His body cam recorded him dropping to his knees, covering his ears, screaming for it to stop saying his name. We pulled him back. Alive. He resigned 2 days later. Checked into a psychiatric facility. Rules can harm even when followed. That is another truth. By winter, my voice was hoarse from saying no. Families hated me. Agents avoided me. Oversight tolerated me. Emily stopped talking to me unless necessary. My wife asked if we could transfer. I said not yet. Because I knew something was coming. The thing does not invest this much effort without intent. In December, sensors south of fence 3 all went dead at once. Not tripped. Dead. Then one came back online. Just one. It pinged every 60 seconds. Same location. Waiting. That single sensor stayed active for 3 days. Every 60 seconds. Same coordinates. No variation. We ran diagnostics. Power supply nominal. No environmental trigger. No animal pattern matched. It was not movement. It was presence. Oversight ordered a drone pass. High altitude. Passive only. The feed showed nothing. Flat sand. Wind scars. No heat anomaly. The sensor kept pinging. Agents started calling it a heartbeat. Quietly. Not on record. On the 4th night, the sensor stopped. At the same moment, every camera north of fence 2 flickered. Not out. Just enough to reset timestamps. That was the night Emily disappeared. I was on shift. Midnight rotation. My wife called at 0:41. She asked if Emily was with me. I told her no. Emily had left her room sometime after 11 p.m. Her bike was gone. No forced entry. No note. My wife was already driving the neighborhood. I left the station without clearance. That was my violation. By the time I reached home, local police were canvassing. Neighbors shaken. No sightings. I knew where to look. I drove south. Every rule I had enforced for years was screaming in my head. I ignored them all. At fence 1, I saw the tracks. Bike tires. Small. Straight. At fence 2, the bike lay on its side. Undamaged. Placed. My radio crackled. Dad, Emily said. Calm. Too calm. I am okay. I stopped. Do not respond, I told myself. She said my name again. She said she was cold. I crossed fence 2. That is as far as I went. Beyond fence 3, I saw her. Standing. Whole. Wearing her jacket. Relief almost killed me. I called out. She smiled. Something was wrong with the smile. It was practiced. Like it had learned what it was supposed to look like. Come get me, she said. I did not move. She tilted her head. Copied me. You always come get me, she said. You promised. That was true. The thing stepped forward. It stopped at fence 3. That was its limit. I realized then that it had not taken her. It had lured her. Emily was never south of the fence. She was north. Behind me. I felt breath on my neck. I did not turn around. I spoke without looking. Emily, I said. Drop to the ground. She screamed. Real. Terrified. I spun. She was 10 feet behind me. Crying. Shaking. Between us and fence 3, the other thing stood. Wearing her face. Perfectly now. It looked at me. "You took too long," it said. Using her voice, I grabbed Emily and ran north. The thing did not follow. It watched. Emily was hospitalized for dehydration and shock. She said she heard me calling her from the desert. Over and over. She said I sounded scared. I was placed on administrative leave. Oversight flew in the next morning. They wanted a statement. I told them everything. Not the redacted version. The whole thing. They listened. Did not interrupt. When I finished, the man from Tucson said something I had not heard before. "It is escalating faster than projected," he said. "Projected by whom?" I asked. He did not answer. Emily was discharged 2 days later. She does not speak about what she saw anymore. She will not go near windows at night. My wife took her and left. She said I chose the desert. She was right. I returned to duty under conditions. No field command. Desk oversight. Data review. They thought distance would help. It did not. From the desk, I saw the pattern. The thing was mapping responses. Timing. Who broke rules? Who hesitated? Who resisted? It avoided me after that night. Not out of fear. Out of patience. It no longer needed me. In February, it started using dependents more aggressively. A dispatcher's son went missing near Y. Found hours later. Unharmed. Silent. A medic's husband received calls from his dead sister. He drove south alone. He was found alive. Catatonic. Eyes damaged. As if he had stared too long at something bright. The rules held the line. Barely. Then oversight made a mistake. They introduced a new protocol. If a voice matches a verified missing person profile and thermal confirms a human heat signature, limited pursuit authorization may be granted up to fence 3 + 10 meters. 10 meters. Someone in an office decided that. They thought precision would save us. I argued. Hard. I said the thing uses our margins. They overruled me. The first authorization was granted in March. Agent Cole volunteered. She still blamed herself for Ruiz. She crossed the fence under supervision. 10 meters. The thing waited until she hit 11. She was gone in under 3 seconds. No struggle. No sound. Just absence. They rescinded the protocol. Too late. After that, the thing changed behavior again. It stopped targeting agents directly. It went for civilians who would draw us out. Lost hikers. Broken vehicles. Fake distress beacons. We responded less and less. The desert filled with ghosts we could not retrieve. I started keeping my own record. Handwritten. Dates. Names. Rules broken. Rules followed. The pattern was clear. It could not cross the third fence. It could not initiate contact without stimulus. It could not create new voices. Only reuse existing ones. Those were its limits. Our limits were compassion, duty, and love. In June, a migrant bus crashed north of Lukeville. Mechanical failure. Several injured. During triage, a woman clutched my arm. "My daughter is missing," she said. She ran toward the lights. I looked south. I did not move. I hate myself for that. The lights blinked anyway. That night, the third fence alarms went off for the first time in years. Not sensors. The fence itself. Structural strain. As if something leaned on it. Not crossed. Leaning. Waiting. I know now that containment is temporary. The fences are not barriers. They are agreements. Agreements we are failing more often. I am still here because I am useful. Because I remember. If you ever find yourself near Lukeville, and you hear someone calling your name from the desert, understand this. It already knows you. It is just waiting for you to answer. After the night the fence alarms triggered, Lukeville changed in ways that were hard to quantify on paper. Officially, nothing happened. No breach. No damage. Structural engineers logged thermal expansion anomalies and signed off. Oversight classified it as environmental stress. Unofficially, every agent felt it. The fence had not been tested before. It had been respected. Now it had been touched. We reinforced patrols north of Fence 3. Not closer. Wider. The idea was to reduce temptation. Fewer moments where someone might think 10 meters would not matter. It did not work. The thing had learned patience better than we had. It stopped using voices entirely for a while. No calls. No crying. No mimicry. Instead, it left objects. A shoe near a service road. Child-sized. Clean. A canteen placed upright in the sand. Full. Cold to the touch. A radio battery set neatly against a fence post. Charged. Each time, someone had to decide whether to investigate. Each time, someone argued. Each time, we logged and withdrew. The desert filled with artifacts of almosts. In August, temperatures hit 115 consistently. Heat deaths increased across the region. Migrant traffic surged at night. That was when the thing reintroduced voices. Not close. Distant. Always just far enough that you could convince yourself you misheard. Agent Ramirez came to me after a shift. 22 years in. Solid. "Sir," he said, "I keep hearing my brother laughing out there." I asked when his brother died. 2 years ago, he said. Overdose. I asked if the laughter sounded happy. He thought. Then shook his head. No, he said. It sounds like he wants me to notice. I reassigned Ramirez to day duty. He retired 3 months later. In September, Emily turned 13. I was not invited to the party. My wife sent me a picture anyway. Emily smiling. Cake. Friends. I stared at it longer than I should have. That night, the thing used her voice again. Not calling me. Calling someone else. Agent Cole's replacement. Agent Aaron Patel. New father. Photo of his daughter taped inside his locker. During a routine night patrol, he heard a girl humming. Not singing. Humming. Tuneless. Familiar. He froze. He did not respond. He did everything right. The humming stopped. Then a small voice said, "Daddy, you forgot me." He dropped to his knees. His partner pulled him back physically. Patel survived. Barely. He requested immediate transfer. Oversight denied it. Containment requires continuity. That is another way of saying sacrifice. By October, civilian reports increased. Campers hearing voices. Hunters seeing figures near the fence. Drivers claiming someone ran across the road and vanished. Local law enforcement asked questions. We gave them heat and stress explanations. They believed us less each time. Rumors spread anyway. Someone painted a warning on a rock near a Joe. Do not answer. It was removed within hours. Suppressing information does not erase it. It concentrates it. The next high-impact failure came from technology again. Oversight deployed an experimental acoustic triangulation system, designed to locate distress calls without human response. They thought it would remove the human element. I argued that the thing responds to attention, not just movement. They deployed it anyway. The system went live on November 3rd. Within minutes, it began flagging hundreds of audio events. All false positives. Wind. Coyotes. Insects. Then one real signal. A woman screaming. Coordinates fixed. South of Fence 3. The system marked it high confidence. 98% match to a missing person reported 2 days earlier. Oversight authorized a drone with speaker capability. I was not consulted. The drone approached. Broadcast a message. This is Border Patrol. Stay where you are. The screaming stopped. The system registered a response. The drone feed showed a woman looking up. Crying. Waving. She spoke. "Thank you for coming," she said. The voice matched perfectly. The drone hovered. Then the woman smiled. The feed cut out. Every acoustic sensor within a mile overloaded simultaneously. The system crashed permanently. Oversight shut it down and classified the footage. The missing woman's family was told she likely succumbed to exposure. After that, the thing began using partial truths more often. Not full mimicry. Not perfect voices. Fragments. A laugh here. A cough there. Enough to hook attention. In December, we lost power to the station for 6 hours during a windstorm. Backup generators kicked in. During the outage, every agent heard something different. One heard his dog barking. Dead 10 years. Another heard a baby crying. He had no children. I heard nothing. That scared me the most. Because silence means observation. Christmas came and went. I spent it alone. I slept in the office. On December 28th, a young couple drove through the area at night. Missed a turn. GPS error. Car overheated south of fence 2. They called for help. We responded north only. Standard. While waiting for a tow, the woman said she heard her mother calling from the dark. She stepped away from the car. Her partner grabbed her. Hard. She fought him. Screamed that her mother was right there. He did not let go. They both survived. I added another unwritten rule to my list. Never go alone. In January 2024, Oversight began discussing fence relocation, pushing it further south, increasing buffer zones. I told them that would not help. The fence is not the line. The behavior is. They asked me what would. I said nothing that keeps us human. They did not like that answer. In February, I was informed my position would be eliminated in the next restructuring. Early retirement. Quiet. They thanked me for my service. Containment does not like witnesses who remember too much. Before I left, I did one thing I should have done earlier. I recorded everything. Not reports. Not logs. This. Because the thing is not bound by fences forever. It is bound by us. And we are getting tired. I do not know how long the third fence will hold. I do know this. Every time someone answers a voice in the desert, it learns a little more about how to cross. I am no longer employed by U.S. Customs and Border Protection. My retirement papers list stress-related medical separation. No further detail. No exit interview. No request for my notes. They did not want a debrief. They wanted an absence. I stayed in a Joe for 3 months after leaving. Long enough to know the desert did not care about my employment status. Long enough to know it remembered me. The third fence still stands. For now. I drive past it sometimes during daylight. Out of habit. Out of guilt. It looks the same. Rusted sections. Bent posts. Wind humming through the wire. What has changed is how close everything feels. The space between fences has narrowed. Not physically. Behaviorally. Agents respond slower now. I hear it in the radio traffic when I listen on public bands. More delays. More requests for confirmation. More hands shaking over mics. That is not fear. That is erosion. Oversight never called me again. But others did. Quietly. An agent from Texas asked if the rules were transferable. A dispatcher from New Mexico asked what to do if the voice sounds angry instead of sad. A ranger from Nevada asked why it only appeared near boundaries. I answered what I could. It preys on rules. IT exploits compassion. IT cannot cross unless invited. IT learns faster when technology is involved. IT prefers dependence. IT waits. I do not know if that helped. In April, I received a call from Emily. She had not spoken to me directly in almost a year. She asked if I remembered a camping trip we took when she was 8. Near Organ Pipe. Before things went bad. I said yes. She said she keeps dreaming about the fence. About standing on one side and seeing herself on the other. I did not know what to say. I told her not to answer anything that calls her name when she is alone. She asked why. I said because some things sound like us but are not. She was quiet for a long time. Then she said, "I know." That is when I realized something else. It does not just learn through violation. It learns through proximity. Emily never crossed the third fence. She did not need to. She heard enough. In May, the first confirmed incident occurred north of Fence 1. Not in my former sector. Another state. Different agency. A park ranger responded to a distress call from a hiker who did not exist. The ranger was found alive, sitting calmly on a trail, facing away from the sun. He said he was waiting for permission to turn around. The investigation is ongoing. They will not call it related. They never do at first. I am recording this now because the rules are changing again. Quietly, incrementally. Fences get moved. Patrol zones shift. New technology rolls out with promises of safety and efficiency. Every change creates gaps. The thing does not break rules. It studies them. I want to be clear about something before I finish. This is not a story about monsters. It is a record of human response under pressure. The thing near Lukeville did not overpower us. It did not overwhelm us. It outlasted us. It learned which rules we would bend first. It learned that compassion is predictable. It learned that duty can be redirected. It learned that love is the shortest path across any boundary. If you are listening to this because you work in law enforcement, emergency response, infrastructure, utilities, or land management, you need to understand the following procedures. Not as superstition, as containment. If you hear a voice and cannot see the source, do not respond. If you recognize the voice, do not respond. If technology confirms presence but your instincts do not, trust the instinct. Do not use names near boundaries. Do not go alone. Do not cross lines you did not personally establish. And if someone you love calls you from a place they should not be, do not answer. That last one is the hardest. It is also the most important. I failed that rule once. I am still paying for it. The thing has limitations. That is the only reason any of us are still here. It cannot cross without invitation. It cannot create without reference. It cannot take what is not offered. Those limits hold only as long as we do. I do not know how many more violations it will take before that changes. I do know that every generation of responders is trained to care first and question later. That is not a flaw. That is the point of entry. If you find yourself near Lukeville, or any place like it, and the desert feels crowded when it should not, leave. If you hear something that knows your name, leave. If you think you can help by stepping just a little closer, do not. There are places where rules exist not to keep people safe, but to keep something else contained. Once you understand that, you will hear the silence differently. I am not telling you this to scare you. I am telling you because containment depends on memory. And memory fades faster than fences. This confession is too late for the people we lost. It might not be too late for you.